This movie is going to be bigger than you can possibly imagine. What's up, everybody? So, this is my review of the first full official trailer for the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, directed by Antoine Fuqua, starring Jaafar Jackson and Coleman Domingo. And wow. Now, the teaser blew me away. It provided some really cool moments and highlights from Michael Jackson's career. But the main thing that was I was always hesitant about, I was very, very worried about, especially as a lifelong hardcore Michael Jackson fan that I am, is how are you going to take this larger than life, giant, epic story of this man and condense it into a movie and still make it cinematic and have a cohesive narrative that runs its way throughout? But now watching the trailer, I think I know exactly how Antoine Fuqua and company are going to make this happen. So, of course, you're going to see the big moments. You're going to see the Thriller video, maybe even like the Beat It video as well. It looks like maybe even the Billie Jean video, the Motown 25 performance where he debuted the moonwalk, and also his basically his big coming out party as a individual performer out on tour with the Bad Tour that came out in the late 80s. And what it looks like to me is it's tracing his journey, his life and career from the Jackson 5 all the way through what looks like to be the culmination of his first solo tour. And the main thing that seems to be brewing in between, underneath all of that, is him trying to establish himself as an individual, not just part of a family, not just part of a musical group, but his own man, his own artistic ideas. There's a great moment within the trailer where he's talking to a close friend of his. I'm not really sure who, but he says, like, I have all these ideas, and he can't really bring those ideas to fruition if he has to, filter them through his brothers or his father. And speaking of his father, Joe Jackson, played by Coleman Domingos. Wow, I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it. I think he's gonna definitely get some Oscar buzz and most likely a nomination for his role as Joe Jackson. There's an amazing moment at the beginning of the trailer where he has the entire family sat around the dinner table, and he said, there's two people in this world, winners and losers. Are you going to be a winner? Are you going to be willing to fight for it? Do you want to work in a steel mill for the rest of your days? And that kind of sets the tone for what it is that they're going to have to do to transcend their current circumstances. And regardless of what you might think of how extreme his methods were, for better or for worse, they worked, because they were able to leave the city of Gary, Indiana, and become just iconic in their own right. Not just Michael Jackson individually, but even the group, the Jackson 5. And what I think it says is that, he wants to come up out under the umbrella of being a part of the Jackson family and just be Michael Jackson. And to kind of trace that, I think is interesting because there is really good conflict there. Because there's another great moment that they cover in the trailer where Joe Jackson is outlining his vision for the Victory Tour. That it was the last tour that the brothers did together. And interestingly enough, it was the tour that came out after the Thriller album. Now imagine Michael Jackson just released and is promoting, one of the biggest album of all time. So naturally, everyone's going to think, all right, what's the tour is going to be equally as huge, with such classic hits as Beat It, Thriller, and Billie Jean. But instead of doing his own solo tour, he has to do a tour with his family. And as Joe Jackson is laying out his vision for what ends up becoming the Victory Tour, Michael says, I have to think. And Joe Jackson's response is, what do you mean? I just told you what to think. So that kind of already sets the stage for the kind of presence and power that Joe Jackson had, not only over Michael, but as the entire family, and Michael's desperate need to get out from under there. And so I think that allows for some really great story conflict. Jaafar Jackson looks incredible as Michael Jackson, and I can't wait. April 24th, I am there, and I'm super excited just thinking about it. Anyways, what about you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Click that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.